Hey, so today I'll be talking about the little clay cart, um, Shudraka. And I was actually really supposed to do this video last night. I read the play. I literally spent, I spent like 5, 6 hours reading this play. It's like 5 hours. Um, really long play. Um, so I think I've gotten much more out of this play if I hadn't had to read it in one day, and if I didn't have auditions, I wrote a show for the Capital Fringe Festival in DC. Um, my dad just texted me and said I need a hug, but I can't talk right now, Dad. Sorry, I'm making a video. Anyway, I'm such a bad son. Yeah, for the Capital Fringe Festival in DC, it's musical review. That is singing stalker. He sings Broadway songs, show tunes to this girl who he meets in a grocery store. So I'm directing it as well, and I had auditions last night. So that and this long play kind of tired me out. I wasn't able to make the video last night. But anyway, I'm doing that today. Right after this, I'm gonna finish reading York Mystery Cycles, and yeah, I'll be doing that review probably around 9ish, 10ish tonight. Um, anyway, so Shudraka wrote the little play cart. He was a Sanskrit king. Oh, and by the way, I said this was an Oriental classic in previous videos. In the book that referred me to this play, it said Oriental classics. I don't know if I would call Sanskrit Sanskrit Oriental. Could be wrong though. I never thought it applied to Sanskrit. Anyway, so Shudraka was the king of I'm gonna butcher this. Ajami. I don't speak one word of Hindu in Sanskrit or sorry. Indian friends don't hate me. No. Sanskrit. So his name means the little Shudra, which is the lowest caste system. And very little is known about him except he wrote 3 plays between 2nd century and 3rd century BC, which not BC, sorry, AD, which is when he lived. Play borrows from Charadata by Vasa. Instead of filling the play with gods and goddesses, though, he used ordinary lay people. Sanskrit plays were often 10 acts long and lasted 4 or 5 hours. Otherwise, they weren't thought to be complete. This play is set in the 5th century BC. It was translated to English in 1905 by Arthur W. Ryder. There were productions 1907, 1924, 1953, 1926. And there was a previous translation called Toy Cart in 1826 by Horace Hayman Wilson. The most important thing you need to know about Sanskrit is the caste system. I mean, not about Sanskrit, about India at that time and India today. The caste systems. There's the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras. And another important thing is the rasas, which were kind of like flavors or emotions. That was important in Sanskrit drama. This has been one of the most celebrated, widely received Sanskrit plays that's been produced by Western audiences. It I'm labeled it as a tragicomedy slash romance, not romances in the sense of Shakespeare, but more of a romantic tragicomedy. Let's put it that way. Um, so after the prolonged, Shudraka, um, he's in his house, converses with his friend Demetria, and talks about their poverty. And while they're speaking, Vazantasina is in the street, and she's being pursued by a courtier, and Sansatanka, who degrades offers of his love, and she rejects it. So Charidata and Matria, Charidata sends Matria from the house to offer sacrifice. And through the open door, Vasantasina slips into the house, and then Matria returns after an altercation with Satanka and recognizes Vasantasina, who leaves a casket of gems in the house for safekeeping and returns to her home. The next day, the act opens up with Vasantasina's house, and Vasantasina confesses to her maid that her love for Charidata. Then Shampoo appears in the street, pursued by this gambling master and another gambler, who demand of him 10 gold pieces, which he lost at the gambling house. And then at this point, Shudraka enters and engages the gambling master and the gambler in an angry discussion, and then the shampooer escapes. So when Vasantasina learns that the shampooer had once served Charidata, she pays his debt. And the shampooer is so grateful that he resolves to become a monk. And this is important. This is like rising from the ranks of. I'm not sure what caste this shampoo is considered to be in. I guess probably the third, the second lowest, and then a monk is definitely considered a Brahmin. So he's rising up. And as he leaves the house, he's attacked by a runaway elephant and saved by Karna Paruka, who's the servant of Vasantasina. So the next day, it's that same night, Charidata and Matria return home after midnight from concert and they go to sleep. And Matria in his hand has the gem casket, which Vasantasina left behind. And Shudraka enters, and he's in love with Nadanika, the maid of Vasantasina, and is resolved to acquire by the theft of means of like minor freedom. So he makes a hole in that wall of the house, enters, and steals the casket of gems which Vasantasina has left. And Shudraka waits to find the casket and the thief gone, and his wife gives him her pearl necklace, which to make restitution. So Shudraka comes to Vasantasina's house to buy Nadanika's freedom, and Vasantasina overhears the facts concerning the gem casket from Shudraka's house, but accepts the casket and gives Nadanika her freedom. As Shudraka leaves her house, he hears that his friend Aryaka has been imprisoned by the king and has escaped and is being pursued. So Shudraka departs to help him. Mitri comes from Charidata with the pearl necklace to repay Valentina for the gem casket. She accepts the necklace also, is giving her an excuse to visit Shudraka. So, that evening, Shudraka appears in the garden of his house. Here he receives a servant of Valentina who announces that Valentina is on her way to visit him. And then she appears in the street with the courtier. The two describe alternately the violence and the beauty of the storm which has suddenly arisen. And Valentina dismisses the courtier, enters the garden, and explains to Shudraka how she has come into possession of the gem casket. Meanwhile, the storm has increased in so much violence that she's compelled to spend the night at Shudraka's house. So here she meets his son, Rosina, and the boy is peevish, and because he now only has a little clay cart to play with instead of finer toys. So Valentina gives him her gems to buy a toy cart of gold. And then Shudraka's servant drives up to take Valentina in Shudraka's bullock cart to the park where she's to meet Shudraka. But while Valentina is getting ready, he drives away to get a cushion. And then Valentina sends Shudraka's servant drives up with the master's cart, which Valentina enters by mistake. So soon after, Shudraka's servant returns with the cart, and then the escaped Aryaka appears and enters Shudraka's cart. And two policemen come on the scene, and they are searching for Aryaka. One of them looks in the cart and discovers him, but agrees to protect him. Then he does this by deceiving and finally maltreating his companion. So, So the next day, Shudraka is awaiting for Valentina in the park, and his cart in which Aryaka lies hidden appears, and Shudraka discovers the fugitive and removes his letters. His fetters, lends him the cart and leaves the park. So, later on, the Buddhist monk, who was formerly the shampooer, enters the park. He has difficulty escaping from Shudraka. I can't pronounce his name for the life of me. Okay, he appears with the courtier, and then his servant drives up in the cart, which Valentina is entered by mistake. She's discovered by Shudraka, who pursues her with the insulting offers of love. And when she repulses him, he gets rid of all the witnesses, strangles her, and leaves her for dead. The Buddhist monk enters again, revives her, and conducts her to a monastery. So I guess, now thinking back, the whole revival thing is also considered to be a romance in the Shakespearean sense of the word, like Pericles, the whole revival thing, lifting up the dead. So yeah, I just thought of that. Shudraka accuses Shudraka of murdering Valentina for her money. And in the course of the trial, it appears that Valentina has spent the night of the storm at Shudraka's house. That she had left the house the next morning to meet Shudraka in the park. There had been a struggle in the park, which apparently ended in the murder of a woman. Shudraka's friend, Maitreya, enters with the gems, which Valentina has left behind Shudraka's to buy Shudraka's son a toy cart of gold. And these gems fall into the floor during a scuffle between Maitreya and Shudraka. In view of Shudraka's property, this seems to establish the motive of the crime, and Shudraka is condemned to murder. So the two headsmen are conducting Shudraka to the place of execution. Shudraka takes his leave of his son and his friend Maitreya, but the servant of Shudraka escapes from confinement and betrays the truth. He's not believed owing to the cunning displayed by his master. So the headsmen are prepared to murder Shudraka when Valentina herself appears on the scene, accompanied by the Buddhist monk. Her appearance puts summary end the proceedings, and the news is that um, news then brings Aryaka has been killed and supplanted. Aryaka has killed and supplanted the former king. And he wishes Shudraka to reward Shudraka, and that is by his royal edict freed. He is by royal edict freed Vasantasina from the necessary life of living coercion. So Vasantasina is brought before Shudraka for sentence, but is pardoned by the man who he had previously injured. So the play ends with a prologue, and that's our play. So very complicated, very long play, very there's like a definitive action pretty much in every act. The play starts with Shudraka and the actress. The way they engage in story, it seems to have a lot of influence on Brecht. There's just like echoes to Bertolt Brecht. Bertolt Brecht obviously succeeded this writer by many, many years, but I just see parallels to Brecht with the prologue. Shudraka is the protagonist, obviously. And his lover, Vasantasina. There's family of Shudraka, his servants, Vasantasina's mother, Nadenika, Shudraka, Aryaka, other servants, the lover of Vasantasina, Samstanka, there's the gamblers, there's the court people. Actually, like, looking at this musical, looking at this play, I think if this play was condensed quite a bit, like, taking it out of the 5-hour thing, or maybe, like, I don't know, reducing it to, like, 3 hours, something like that, just, I don't know, breaking it down, I think this would make an interesting opera, and I'm sure there have been operatic adaptations, but I would love to see this. It's an opera. Things you could do with costumes and just, yeah, this would make an interesting opera, and, the text is very prose and, verse, it alternates between them. And yeah, this would make an interesting opera. Now, okay, back to the characters. So, we kind of have stock characters. We have lovers, we have servants, we have public officials, the friend character, a lot of subplots here and there with the characters. So, and most of the characters actually belong to the lowest caste system. We have the servants, but we see characters like Nadenika and Shudraka, even though he's a Brahmin, we see him rise to riches. We see Vasantasina rise from her coercion status. We see. Ultimately, I take back what I said about this being a tragic comedy. I think this is definitely more a comedy than anything. well, it does have some tragicomic elements. Like, there are moments where we think it's headed towards tragedy, but still it's not. It doesn't end with a tragicomic ending, such like in Waiting for Godot or The Visit. Um, or one of my plays that I wrote, which I'm obsessed with um, my best play, Assassin Press. Um, yeah, this is a John Program player channel, so yeah, um, I can advertise my play. Yeah, that one's a tragic comedy. So, um, but no, this doesn't end with a tragic comedy ending at all. Um, it ends with hope and ends with a lot of people rising through the ranks. So, yeah, when we have characters rise above, and you know, oh god, I can't camera taking errors. Um, Characters who like rise up in status, that's definitely a sign of comedy because in tragedy we have the complete opposite. We have a fall. We have Parabativ here. It's the opposite. So and the reason, actually more than comedy or tragedy, is because the characters have to go through a lot in the plot to have that renewal, have that to raise your status, to rise above ranks. They have to go through a lot, and therefore, I would classify it more than anything a romance first. Anyway, but a lot of servant characters, and it gives plenty of characters the opportunity to rise up the ranks, including Araka, who has to kill the king to claim his throne. And then there are others who've earned their status by fate and by the kindness of God. So symbols and themes for little clay cart. Okay, this is tough. What is the symbols in the little clay cart? The little clay cart is for the sun. Clay is very simple. Clay is a poor man's object, and clay can't carry loads of things. But the gold cart, that is of riches, and that's a symbol. I mean, that in play represents like how the characters go from having a clay cart to gold cart, how what it takes for the character to go from clay to gold. So that's the center of the piece. Jewels come up a lot because it takes money for characters to rise above the ranks. It's as if jewels can solve everything, and jewels have a powerful significance, a powerful role. And I talked about the class and caste system. Everyone should find the plot. The plot, reviews in our theater, we usually have, well, in Shakespearean times, we have the 5-act. So for modern era, it's 5-act structure, and we still kind of use the 5-act structure, but we simplified it to 3-act structure. Although most plays have 2-act, usually 1 and 2 And that's in Act 1, and Act 3 is usually Act 2 in order. So, but we get a structure because beginning, middle, and end. But here in Western drama, Eastern drama, we have 10 act, which is really different from from Western drama. The whole thing about the Rosses are, that's how, I think we use humors, they use Rosses, Greeks so far have used humors, and then the Indians use, Rosses, so that's the difference between the East and the West. That plot. And again, the way the scenes are structured, stage directions, and has scenes cut off. It wasn't like Western drama. Unlike all the plays that I've read so far, with the exception of Brothers Dominicanus, this play didn't have a chorus. It uses a lot of characters who pretty much, large ensemble, but it doesn't narrate. It's just goes like that, and that, up, 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 down, down, down. And that's plot. But it starts at the beginning. It's not in medias res, and it goes to a definitive ending. It has prologue and epilogue. But very well structured play, very, very difficult play to read. It's the kind of play that you have to revisit, and I wouldn't recommend reading this in one day like I did, because I didn't get as much out of it as I wanted to. It was on the list to read for that day, but I definitely think if you really want an accurate view on Sanskrit drama and want to get all the culture, and you want to analyze the caste system and how the caste system relates to the plot, I recommend reading it carefully. It's difficult to put this on because of the large cast and it being long, but if it was adapted, I'm sure, and was doubling, it'd be a good play to put on. Because we need to do more Eastern drama. And this plays a class, and it does tell a good story, and I think it is very detailed. I think for a play it's too detailed. But still, it's very well crafted, and like I said, I'd love to see this as an opera. Unlike the other plays that I've read so far, this one does concentrate on class. The other plays don't deal with class, to my recollection, the Greek and Roman plays. I don't think any of them do. I think all of them are one. The protagonist is usually always wealthy and well off and noble, except for Lysistrata. But Lysistrata, they're all, I guess, average, and Brothers Dominicanus also, both, they're all average. So, but there's no class struggle. yeah. So that's all I have for this play, and I'll be doing the work cycle in a minute. I mean later, probably like 8 or 9, 10, 11.